The views expressed on this Turnbuckle Tabloid live stream or Turnbuckle Tabloid podcast episode do not reflect the views, thoughts, or opinions of the Rageworks brand, including the Rageworks podcast network, Rageworks content partners, advertisers, and affiliates. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Another day, another year on this earth. I guess I should be taking the blessings of that because many people tell me it's like, it's your birthday, so you should be grateful that you're on this earth. And it's like, it's not a reward that you made it to another year. It's not like a obstacle course. You live life. And for the most part, you are to live healthy, live a clean life, avoid anything that could be hazardous to your health, enjoy it, have fun, but also be aware of your surroundings. Don't live in fear. Just be aware and conscious. That's exactly what I tell Sally whenever she goes out in the world. We live in New York City, and you know, of course, being a parent that I am, I'm extremely worryful and super protective of my daughter and such. But I'm also the kind of parent that I'm not going to restrict her for having a life that, you know, when I was, I mean, listen, I was a kid, a product of the 90s, the 80s and the 90s. And those were the years that you go to Times Square, it was problems. You know, it could have been something, but my mother never did that to me, that she didn't restrict me. I knew how to ride the trains when I was about 10, 11 years old. All I knew was how to get to the train that gets me home, and that's it. Once I've, you know, if I needed to go to the upper west side of Manhattan or, Queens Plaza or even into the Bronx, all I needed to know was what trains got me home. And that was it. What connections got me home. And, you know, super producer Sally, she loves to be in the city, and she loves the environment. She loves to see the big buildings and the people and just the environment and such like that. So why would I restrict her or keep her close to not embrace that? And I think that with the times that we live in, we give our children the world of fear when it's just not fear. Just be conscious, be aware, be open to what your surroundings are. And if you don't feel comfortable in something, and if you know that something's going on and what, just know to move and just be protective. I've even taught her measures of how to protect herself physically if it occurs that way. And I've also told her how to be respectful and also know how to move away from individuals that are just disrespectful. New York City it could be out of control, but I've grown to be that individual, maybe because of the looks that I have, but no one fucks with me. And if they do, I know how to handle these situations. And I stress that, and I give that to my daughter because I don't want her to be afraid. I want her to just be conscious and aware of where we live at. So, and much love to my baby girl who took daddy out for his birthday. She took him to the Museum of Moving Images, which is about movies, TV, radio, and such like that, which is something that not only that I've been into for years, but this is her major, and it's a learning experience for her. But the best part about it is that I forgot that they have a floor dedicated to the Muppets, and I fucking lost it. Oh my God. Ah, the fucking Muppets. I was in heaven. I love the Muppets. If you guys don't know, hey, Cougar Monster was a critical part of the show for a time being, which I gotta find that bitch. I forgot where the fuck I put her at, but she's around here somewhere. But yeah, I was in heaven with all the Jim Henson, the materials, the history, the creativity that came from his mind. I miss my calling. I should have either been a Muppeteer or written for them. Oh man, I didn't realize until later on in my years that I am such a huge Muppet fan. But nonetheless, welcome everybody to another episode of Turnbuckle Tabloid. I am your host, Mr. Ear to the Mat, the King of Talk Style, and as always, the Cheap Thrill, Jay the Red City. Be sure you check us out on all the social media outlets. Check us out on the liking group page on Facebook. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Turnbuckle Tab, as well as on Twitter, which may not be Twitter for too long because Elon Musk has decided that I want to make changes for everything. I want to make sure that Twitter is not Twitter anymore because I want people to know that it is my brand, even though I'm losing about $15 million a month with this company or even more. I want to make sure that people know that I have a staple in my thumbprint on him. So now Twitter will be known as X. And when you put up a tweet, you are putting up a tweet, not a tweet anymore. You're Xing now. Talking about knowing how to bury a company. I think he's taking very much cues from the big red wiggy herring known as the president formerly known as Trump. But in any case, while it's still around, make sure you check us out on Twitter at Turnbuckle Tab, as well as on the TikToks, the YouTubes, and the Twitches at Turnbuckle Tabloid. And as always, make sure you download, subscribe, be a part of the vibe of everything on all the podcasting outlets that's available on iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever the fuck you can find a podcast, that's where we're available at. And check out RageWorksNetwork.com, where it has all the podcasts available to you under the RageWorks umbrella. Black is the New Black, Trek Untold, Toys and Techs, Slave for Me, and everything else connected. And of course, Turnbuckle Tabloid is there for you. So go to RageWorksNetwork.com. And please check out the family at RageWorks.net for reviews, previews, contests, whatever's connected to the world of pop culture. We have the comic books, video games, music. It's a plethora of all things connected to the world of pop culture because we do it for the culture, baby. Pop culture, that is. So, upcoming this episode, guys, we have our boy Homework Mike who's checking in with us. He'll be sitting down and discussing cutting a promo. Cutting a promo this week will be about the spooky gimmicks of wrestling. Does it still exist? Do we still care about it? Is there something to it? Or is this a genre that's dead and should be moved on? Also, we discuss Around the Square Circle. Around the Square Circle this week, we discuss what we watch, what we partaken in, listen to, and all things wrestling what we watched in the past couple of weeks. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stick around. We have much to talk about, and much love to all you guys who've been sharing and listening to our shows. The numbers grow week by week, and I'm so much appreciative for you guys who do that. And also, thank you for all you guys who sent their birthday love and wishes to me. You guys are awesome. And yeah, much to come. Talk to you guys in a second.
This is Devontae, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Give me that fucking mic! Turnbuckle Tabloid, cutting a promo. Cutting a promo this week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting in with our guy, the milkman himself, the delivery, the gallon, the half a gallon, the quart, the 2%, the 1%, the skim. Don't call that man almond, because all he really is whole. Whole milk Mike is sitting in with us, ladies and gentlemen. And this week, we want to discuss something that he actually brought to my attention not too long ago. And seeing as though that there is some talk of the possible return of Bray Wyatt, Holmberg wanted to discuss the importance, or maybe lack of importance, of spooky wrestling gimmicks. Are we beyond that at this day and age, or is there still something there for wrestling fans to still enjoy when it comes to spooky wrestling gimmicks? And when we talk about spooky wrestling gimmicks, Homo, like what gimmicks, characters are you specifically speaking about?
First, I love being on here, and I love the fact that one of the nicknames was just a delivery. That was very clever. As far as spooky characters, the most recent one in recent history is Bray Wyatt, and then in AEW, there's the Dark Order, the Righteous, House of Black, and then in NXT, our boy Joe Gacy. It's all mysterious, spooky shit that it's very hard to. I had the phrase in my head. Suspend your disbelief on when you're watching wrestling, because at the end of the day, we all know it's fake. But when somebody back in the day, when Undertaker used to shoot lightning bolts, we believed it, but nowadays we just scoff and laugh at it.
Yeah, we would see flames coming out of turnbuckles, smoke appearing from certain places, different amalgamations of shark men, zodiac men. We would see men with red and black faces eating worms. There was just a certain mystique when it came to spooky wrestlers. And you know, I often have this conversation about these gimmicks, and many of us sit there and we say, well, that's what kind of turns me off to wrestling. But in all reality, that's what put us on to wrestling. They recently just had a Dark Side of the Ring with the topic being Abdullah the Butcher. Now, I won't say that Abdullah the Butcher was a spooky character, but his gimmick was scary. People were afraid of him when they saw him, when they were even feet away from him, or even if from their living rooms watching the TV, they thought that he was a menacing kind of guy.
Would you classify him as a monster?
Yes. I mean, look at him. He was stabbing people with forks. He was biting people in the head. He was trying to squeeze their melons into juice. Yeah, I would.
Like he's not like a Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees type of character. He's just a psychopath.
Right.
Psychopathic monster that just craves blood.
You know, you could consider him like one of the characters from like Chainsaw Massacre or what is it? The Hills Have Eyes, or whatever kind of shit that is. Like, yeah, he's a monster. I mean, I remember my earliest recollections of like scary kind of spooky kind of gimmicks was like the Missing Link or Papa Shango, like those kind of guys. Like it was that kind of mystique, that dark look that drew eyes when you're a kid to the product. What was your early days of watching wrestling, and who was it that gave you like a little fear when you watched it?
I mean, growing up, the typical answer would be in the Attitude Era, when I was born in '95. So those first 5 years, you had characters like Kane and the Undertaker, more specifically. Kane was really the one I was very afraid of, to be honest, until like 2000, when he started like talking. But it was more because the original Kane, when you look back on his like look and presence, he looked like a fucking monster. He was basically Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Same with the Undertaker. And then like late in the 2000s, like you had like the silly horror gimmicks like the Boogeyman, like you alluded before. But then towards like 2010, like the spookiness and the horror themed characters, it started to be silly to me. And I look back and look at Papa Shango, like you mentioned, that's just silly. It's just like it's just a tall, built dude with face paint and doing voodoo. Now, do I know anything about voodoo? Not really. I have not a knowledge of it, but even in the realm of wrestling, it looks silly when this guy is making other wrestlers puke,
Right.
allegedly puke.
Right. Like, see, for me, coming up, like I mentioned, it was more of the monstrous kind of guys. I tell you one person who I used to watch and would like not scare the shit out of me, but would be fucking like it made me feel weird watching him was Kevin Sullivan when he was doing that whole not even the Dungeon of Doom thing, but even early on when you watch his early stuff.
He was the devil's preacher,
right? Yeah, when he had that look, and I'll tell you a guy who even up till recently, every time I watched him, I felt like kind of creeped out by him was what's his name? James. He used to manage Abyss.
James Mitchell.
James Mitchell. Yeah, he was
Sinister Minister.
Yeah, the Sinister Minister. That's another one that was a creepy fuck. Like he gave off like those vibes and shit. I think
From what era though? From WCW or from TNA?
even as early,
which version of him?
Yeah, even as early as WCW, he was creepy as shit. Like he had that kind of vibe. When he was managing, was his
Mikey Ripwreck in ECW?
No, and TNA when he was with
Abyss.
But he had Abyss, but I think he had Macias as well.
Judas Macias.
Judas Macias. That was another one that was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah, he had the pointed eyebrows, the colorful suits, always that voice.
Yeah. It wasn't until recently when I started watching him in shoot interviews and all that, and I go, "Oh, this guy's just a fucking asshole. He's just a weird.
Oh, he's
asshole.
he's basically Raven.
Yeah, pretty much. He just has a lot of tales and stories to talk about and shit. But
big vocabulary. Too.
Yeah, definitely. But the era from back then, like people like you mentioned earlier, Undertaker was my introduction of that time. By the time Undertaker came out, I was maybe I'm gonna say about 13, 14 years old, something around there. And even though that I knew that it's just a fucking character or a gimmick, he did have a presence on him, and the mystique, the look, the mysterious background was interesting. It was a kind of genius. It was a genius idea to have that. The great thing about him was that he stuck with that character for such a long time. Your thoughts about that?
And stayed in character. I mean, he only got on Twitter in 2020. This is a guy that from 92 until, let's say, until he did like the American Badass, he was walking around dressed in all black, rarely did any TV appearances. If he did anything like was it Regis and Kelly? He did that in Gimmick,
right,
along with Paul Bearer. And then after the American Badass, once he was doing the TV spots, but it was basically more of him. But then once he went back to the Dead Man, no more TV appearances. He was basically on WWE TV for the most part until, like I said, 2020.
Do you think he lost his mystique when he did the American Badass?
No.
Yeah,
he definitely lost it when he got on Twitter.
Yeah,
making an ass out of himself.
I mean, he was already done. Like we were already gone through almost 30 years of it. So I mean, yeah.
But once he started pulling the curtain back and you got to see who Mark Calloway is behind the Undertaker, that's when America, and that was during a time when this whole country, everybody's being exposed for who they truly are, and he was lumped in the category of, oh, he's in the category of people I hate.
Yeah, but then it's all of that thing to where it's like, even with the different amalgamations of the character, when he had the Ministry, when he had, after his face got cracked, he had the Phantom of the Opera mask. He died and then came back to life and all that stuff. Then he went to the American Badass and he was like, oh, okay, cool. And went back to the trench coat and the hat. We still had that, I guess, not fear, but the sense of coolness and still being a threatening guy. To this day, I have people who don't watch wrestling anymore, or they watch it, haphazardly or casually, and they'll say, that motherfucker Undertaker, that's my guy, that's my dude.
Yeah.
Like, they still like that mystique.
Let me ask you a question with the Ministry of Darkness version, because that was a good 98 from 98 to 99 2-year period. Aside from his matches, when you were watching him on TV and he's cutting these promos where he's like slitting his wrist, he's making people drink his blood, all of a sudden the Cross starts coming, like making more appearances on TV. Like, what did you honestly think looking at it, like from a character, or even like, as a fan?
I thought it was cool.
Did they go too far ever?
I thought it was cool because, that was the era. That's at the time. They had to start pushing the envelope a little bit more. They had to start taking his character, making more cultist when you get to that level. When you get to that next formation or elevation of his gimmick, you had to keep doing something else. There's only a handful of gimmicks that could continue to run the way that they run, and no one would bother with it. Giving flowers to Kamala. Kamala was a guy who, another one that he just was scary, freaky. All you pretty much did with him was want to run
beginnings, though.
Of course, definitely. But you see, for me, I never took it that way. I took it as someone who, the gimmick as a kid, you saw that he came from a savage place, and because that's what you saw even in National Geographics. You saw, different parts of the world, third world countries, or in the bush where those kind of acts would happen. So I never really looked at it as racist until later on when you got older. At that time, you just look at it as that's what the gimmick was. So
it clicks in your head as soon as you look at it. You're like, oh, I get it.
Right,
right. I see what they were actually trying to go for.
Yeah, and especially
because I'm sorry, but I just want to say this with the Undertaker.
Yeah, yep. With Kamala, it was when he had his handler Kimchi, it was like, oh, his handler, quote unquote. He had Kimchi, so it was like, oh yeah, you got to make sure that this fucking guy doesn't get loose because you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen.
Jesus.
So but what were you saying about Undertaker?
I was gonna say, because when people look back on like his stuff now, maybe either Kane or like, especially with the Undertaker, I've heard people say like, oh, he was basically every Buffy the Vampire Slayer monster on an episode, because that's how hokey people who don't really like horror or have appreciation of it. That's maybe one of the first things they think of, like another TV show. Like, oh, this is so hokey. Yeah, like where's Buffy to like put a stake in his heart?
Well, I think like now, like you mentioned, the last one that really had people scared or nervous, or had that sense of it's spooky, it's kind of creepy, was Kane, because Kane was under a mask. He didn't speak. He emoted and showed emotions or such by turning of the head, quick motions, that kind of thing. And even when they took the mask off and he was just this bald-headed fucking, and let me stop because I've got a lot of people who said I kind of remind them of Kane.
Uncle Fester looking.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of look. I've gotten that as well. But even then, when the mask came off, he was still frightening to people. I think after a while, what happens is we get to that thought process or that level of consciousness where we don't think of them as spooky anymore. They become cool. Case in point, I'm looking at an image of the Demon, Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm.
That is more of a cool factor, a cool gimmick. When we saw him earlier,
not spooky.
Right. When we saw him in the indies, when he would do the face paints and all that, everything he would do was tied to, let's say, superheroes and stuff like that. When he came to WWE, they made that second persona of him more demonic and dark. He gets into his dark place to become a better wrestler. So it became more cooler.
I wouldn't say Joker is a superhero, but close enough.
Right.
Like a lot of his characters were based on Venom, Joker, Carnage, like those creative
right.
ones. But once he went to WWE, he had one idea, and basically the Demon, and then that stuck with him forever in NXT until now. Right. I mean, WrestleMania was his last appearance. So
the modern day now, when it comes to spooky, like you mentioned earlier, the Dark Order, they took that away once they realized that maybe it's not going to get over as it used to be. And once their leader passed away, they became hokey. They became a gimmicky kind of thing. House of Black. Yeah, they're spooky. They have the mystical kind of things and such like that, but
they can vanish. That's their powers,
right? But we look at them as cool, and I think it's because the generations that we have now, the Gen Xers, the Gen Ys, the Gen Zs, the millennials, and such.
Right.
We didn't grow up afraid of things anymore. We, at 9, 10 years old, I got kids who running to. They can't wait to see like Annabelle and shit like that. So they're looking forward not to be scared, but to be excited, to see the coolness of what horror is or suspense is. Shit, Exorcist scared the shit out of me for fucking years, and nowadays like kids are just.
I can't sit down and want to watch it.
To this day, kids are fucking clamoring to go watch that shit, like the remake that's going to happen. So, there's nothing that's really scary.
Have fun with that, people. Annabelle is another. I can't do any scary movies with dolls. That's another thing. And when we get to Bray Wyatt and his dolls, there are certain ones that even I would get a little jump scare from.
Another one who I'll give their flowers to, who, and it's not because I was scared, it's because I can't stand them, I hate them, is clowns. And Doink was that guy as well. Doink was a spooky guy as well. He was the sad, angry, mischievous clown.
Drunk.
When you watch The Dark Side of the Ring, yeah, you find out that's what he was, high. But he was that kind of that character that it kind of speaks to those who have phobias or uncomfortableness. And when we speak of Bray played on that as well. Even his early days when he was the Bayou cult leader kind of thing, they danced around the whole spookiness of him. And it wasn't until the next evolution of him, which became the I guess satanic or satirical, as you may say, children's TV show host, who changes into this I would say killer clown, but not really. I believe there was still some. I remember having conversations with one of a listener as well who said his kid, who was already 15, 16 years old, his daughter was scared shitless of the Fiend that she wouldn't even go into the room and whenever he was on.
Yeah, because a lot of phobias, one of them is especially with dolls, and I can understand that. And then when you have Bray Wyatt on screen with a TV show or an evil TV show host, and one of his gimmicks is a doll, and children immediately go, "Holy shit!" No, they're out of the room.
Right.
And the thing with Bray Wyatt too was the cult leader gimmick. There wasn't really a problem with it on screen. It was just the way that they booked him. That was the problem.
Right.
Yeah, the guy talking all this nonsense, which you never understood what he was talking about. And when he gets in the ring, it's lose. Maybe get a fluke win and then lose. Like, and then his words of gospel, as he would put it, mean shit. Like, there has to be substance in on TV and to your promos. Like, you can't present one side good and then the side bad.
Yeah, I think the thing that we lost in certain aspects of the spooky, mysterious, scary gimmicks was, see, like with Undertaker, he was undefeated. Kane was unstoppable, unbeatable. You have to find that ultimate babyface or faction or tag team that would take them down because they were so unstoppable. And
then if they ever lost, they never looked like silly. Like, if Undertaker lost, he'd be laying there for a few minutes and then sit up. Same with Kane. Like, they'd sit up and that's like nothing just affected them.
Right.
Like, Stone Cold could hit Kane with 3 stunners and Kane could sit up and be like that barely hurts me.
Well, it's like what I think many have said when what happened with The Fiend, where Randy lights him on fire, that it kind of killed the gimmick. But I'm also like, but wasn't that what you wanted? You wanted him to come back the next week to seem like he's unstoppable or something, or the silly match with Seth Rollins and Hell in a Cell. You want it to be that he's buried under a plethora of weapons and objects, but yet still be undefeated and unstoppable. I thought the whole thing was hit and miss for me, but like I said, I'm not sure whether or not it was for me. I'm not sure whether or not that was
which version.
Any of them. I think to me, I just looked at the aesthetic. The aesthetic was what was cool to me. The look of him, the character, that's what was cool. I didn't really. The same thing with Demon Balor. I think it's just the look. It's cool. I'm not really. I think I'm beyond that. I don't know whether or not what audience hell, even you want to talk about spooky. Remember we had Crow Sting in WCW. He just hung around in the rafters for a year, did nothing, just being mysterious. And it seems like whatever translated what occurred back then in WCW back then is doing now, because even at 63 years old, the guy's fucking OP. He's like overpowerful. You can't fucking knock him down. You can't beat him.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this for Sting, at least when he was coming down from the fucking top of the rafters, it wasn't made to be like, oh shit, now he can do this. It was a harness. Like, it wasn't slapping in the face like he's doing this by magic. No, he has the means or the ability to acquire a fucking harness and go up and down from the arena.
Yeah, but the other thing too was with him is
with Sting, I don't think of anything like voodoo-esque or creepy. It was more
talking
like
a guy was walking around with a vulture. Like, what the fuck are you doing with that shit?
Right, but like, it wasn't like he was like sending the vulture to the fucking ring. He was just holding it, being like, if you mess with me, something will happen.
But you think about it like this: he went from the surfer, hey dude, buddy, I paint my face kind of guy, to all of a sudden he's just dark and walking out in a cloud of smoke kind of thing. There is certain spookiness.
Sad, depressed.
Yeah, like emo Sting and shit. Like there is like some kind of darkness to that in a sense.
Thanks, Hogan, for fucking that up in one night.
And then you look at other guys like Vampiro who were trying to get that kind of sense as well. Speaking of spooky, we'll go to with also what Lucha Underground did with it. There's a lot of that going on as well. You watched Lucha, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's where I think it got away with it the most because it was a wrestling show, but they made sure to say it was presented as a TV show. Because let's be real here, they did a lot of things on the show, like commit murder, do all this nonsense. It was like it was basically a telenovela, but very extreme. Would you agree?
Yeah, very much.
Because a lot of the storylines was based around Lucha Libre and also like all just ancient Aztecs and traditions. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think like Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. That's like where like a lot of people have discovered or noticed Pentagon Jr. And that's the only time in his career he ever did anything spooky.
Yeah, how about the what Impact and TNA has done during their time?
Murder somebody off every other year.
I said just recently they just set somebody on fire and shit like that. They just killed somebody off. But
that's not really an Impact. That's a fucking PCO thing,
right?
And he's the human Frankenstein. So
yeah.
that guy's in his 60s.
Is he really?
He should be. I mean, shit.
Damn, you're right. In his fucking 60s. Oof.
He's the oldest Ring of Honor world champion, aside from Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. What spooky shit did Ring of Honor have? Did they have any of that going on?
It was him. They tried something with Marty Scurll and the Villain Club, or Villain Enterprises, like where they would turn the lights off and they would appear, that type of stuff. Like Ring of Honor really stuck to professional wrestling.
Right.
I mean, this is the same company that brought in the Insane Clown Posse, and the fans immediately booed the shit out of them and said, "No, we are not taking this bullshit. We are not having this on our show, sir."
No, I don't think anybody was ready to become a juggalo at that time. But
in 2004.
But I think, like I said, for this day and age, and for our demo, as they would say, it's not for us. It's more of merchandising, selling it to that crowd who loves that horror, spooky, dark kind of clothing or apparel. And it's more of whatever kids are watching wrestling, that whether or not they are going to be drawn to them. But like I said, I don't think it's out of fear anymore. You know how many kids I saw wearing the Fiend masks or, wanting to have the T-shirts and shit like that? It wasn't about being scared of them. It was just more about it's a cool thing.
That and the Alexa Bliss doll, Lily.
Right, yeah.
Now, I will admit, like the vignettes they used to do with Lily, and then the fucking thing would like jump or like hiss, that threw me off because I wasn't expecting that. But at the end of the day, it's a silly fucking doll, and you're watching a grown woman play with a doll on a wrestling TV show. And
I don't see anything wrong with that because, I kind of did like how they did entertain the her mental state, like how she was decreasing in her sanity, how slowly but surely that I could play with that. And I could also play with, even George the Animal Steel back in the days, he was just a scary, monstrous kind of guy who walked around with a doll. Mine. mine. Like even,
but from what I remember, he started off like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That they were always like that. But even with her, they played with that whole idea of her losing her mind, her sanity, which I was okay with that.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was like she got the mandible claw, and then she started turning evil. Her eyes turned white, and then she started spitting black shit, blood, and then the whole doll thing. And then she goes to therapy. Like Alexa Bliss's character has gone up and down since the whole pandemics, and I'm not blaming her if it's anything if it's her idea or it's creative. Because also remember too, this is all not creative. This is whatever they see on TV or feel that week. Think like what could be scary, what could be cool.
Yeah,
and sometimes and most of the time it's hit or miss. I'll bring for this example, Joe Gacy. We saw him on the Indies a lot, like for House of Glory, CZW. Very good guy, good in the ring. When he goes to NXT, he's in tight button-up shirts and slacks, and walking around with druids. You're in the middle of Florida. Why are you fucking druids?
You know what? Well, they don't even say that because that's where Kevin Sullivan got his gimmick. But he did it at. He did it, and that's when he started his days.
Yeah, but that was back in the day. But now, it's like I said before, it's hard to to suspend your.
Well, it's because, like I said, we're older. That's why we're older. Right. So like certain things is just not for us. In all facet of wrestling, I do the same thing. Like there's certain things that it's not for me. Deathmatch wrestling is not for me.
Orange Cassidy,
not for me. Intergender matches are not for me. But I know that there's an audience for it. So it's either one of two things. I sit, watch it, and grin and bear it, complain about it, or I just fucking change the channel or don't watch it. That's just what it is. And I think, like, when it comes to the spookiness now, what's happening, it's all about merchandising. That's all it pretty much is. It's all about merchandising, selling. When the Dark Order first started, you know how many fucking sales they were making? People were sending each other Dark Order fucking applications and shit like that. It's part of a.
Oh, you saw their shirts everywhere. Join the darkorder.com.
Right, exactly. So it's being a part of something and selling that merch. That's pretty much what it is. But
good for them. Make the money as you fucking can.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that is going to wrap up Cutting a Promo this week, ladies and gentlemen. The spookiness and mysteriousness of wrestling gimmicks. It's not for
so what is the final verdict? Does it belong still?
I do think that it's there because it should be, because it's still a show. You still want the pageantry. You still want the special effects, the smoke, the fire, and such like that. It's still there. It's still part of a person's gimmick. Like I said, with House of Black, if you're about to attack them, they just poof, they disappear. Like, we all know that they're hiding under the ring, or they went dark enough so they can run up the ramp.
Or they ran as fast as they fucking can.
Exactly. We all know it, but it's part of the. Sting does it as well. All of a sudden, lights go out, it's Sting! And it's like, okay, it's still part of the show. We want, at the end of the day, we know it's entertainment. It's just the other aspects of it that we say, all right, cut the horse shit. It's all right, we get it.
Like, there should be some limitations.
Like taking a fucking power bomb off the top rope and then a running knee to the face and then kicking out at 2. Fuck off!
Or 1.
Oh, exactly. But don't go anywhere, guys. We got much to talk about. Homework is going to stick around. We're going to have much to talk about in the latest segments. It's going to be around the square circle, and so sit back, relax, put the volume up on high. We got more to share. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stick around. Check you guys in a second.
What's going on, everybody? Tony G here, better known to the world as Josie's Boy, aka your girl's favorite artist. And today I'm here to tell you about my company, Painted in Blue. Painted in Blue is a creative house established in 2017, and we specialize in handmade custom leather goods. We coined the term luxury minimalism because we believe even in your everyday life, no matter how much running around you have to do, you can still stand out and be fly. We create everything from luxury handbags to wallets and some of the best leathers you can find that you would love to carry on a day-to-day basis. So if you believe in looking fly while you handle your business while pushing fashion forward, make sure you guys go to paintedinblue.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at _paintedinblue on Instagram and on Facebook at paintedinblue.
This is Jim Russell from Choke Radio, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Around a square circle, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds so beautiful, don't you agree? As always, Around the Square Circle is about what we watch, what we listen to, what we partake in, what we are involved in the world of wrestling. It's been a while since I've been able to do this because I've been able to catch up and do some stuff with our constituents that take precedence when sitting in the chair with me. We will catch up and talk wrestling that way. But I wanted to put together a nice package of what I've been, or you've been, or we've been putting together the past couple of weeks in wrestling. Just a nice little roundup. Homework Mike, still checking in with us here, and he does a hell of a job of giving us a quintessential rundown of what's going on the shows in wrestling this past weeks and weeks alike. So, the highs and lows of wrestling and such. Mike, what has been your take on what's happening in wrestling as a whole in the past couple of weeks?
Very interesting. The landscape of WWE seems to be changing. I don't know if you agree or not, in the sense of one stable is starting to get more TV time, and while the other is starting to fade away into obscurity, or not to obscurity, but to a final end, would you say?
Yeah, we just spoke about spooky wrestlers and gimmicks in cutting a promo, but we didn't talk about Judgment Day. Judgment Day started off as a spooky, edge-led cultist kind of gimmick, and once they
there was a big fat no to them doing spooky shenanigans, and now they're this.
They're
which is for the better.
They're kind of a mix of a spooky motorcycle gang, if the way I look at it in a certain
motorcycle.
Yeah, I see with the bandana with Dominic, you get kind of that vibe of Mayans with fucking Damian Priest. It's all with that leather look, and then you look
Finn
at
Bella's any hip hop pop culture.
Exactly,
he wants to pull out of his ass,
and which is a motorcycle gang as well, because a lot of motorcycle gangs, especially the urban ones, dress that look as well. So yeah, I kind of get that sense.
We'll be Rhea Ripley,
sexy as fuck.
Have you always been a fan? Have you always been on that side of Rhea Ripley?
I've always, and when I remember her being spoken about in the Indies. And then when she came in, she made her debut in like an NXT and such like that. I always thought that there was something tasty about her. And then now that she's put on a little bit more muscle, and oh my God, there's a page that Will follows on Facebook. It's like the Muscle Waifu page. And it's all about guys who love bodybuilding women. Jordan Grace is like their goddess and shit. But I don't never really like
muscle waifus that people want their thighs to crush their skulls with.
Yeah, like shit like that. Yeah. and I'll be honest with you. Growing up, I was a huge fan of American Gladiators.
Uh-huh.
And which by the way, I think today I'm gonna watch the documentary. I've been bullshitting. I need to watch it. they had their muscle bound women, and I found them so attractive. Fucking Zap and Siren, whatever the fuck their names were. I was like, damn, them bitches is bad. Like, I don't know. It was weird to me. I don't know. But Rhea Ripley still fits that.
But they wasn't like ridiculously. They weren't like muscular out there. Out their minds.
Zap was. Hell yeah, she was. God, that woman was stacked. But
gotta look up Zap afterward.
But she had a good looking face as well, in my opinion. So, and I remember as a kid when my grandmother would get these magazines from they were Spanish language magazines, and they would show in the magazines, like, for some reason, they like Spanish women doing bodybuilding competitions. And like I said, I had to be a kid, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, and I was drawn to these muscly women. This day, me being older, I'm not into it so much, but when I look at a Rhea Ripley or I like chubby. I liked chubby Jordan Grace, but
Raquel Rodriguez,
like that. Yeah, I'm into that look. Who else is
Bianca Belair? Really, she's kind of muscular.
Bianca. That she has that muscle competition look. Even when she's in competition form, when you look at pictures of Alexa Bliss, it was like, ooh, her fitness look. I was like, ooh, yeah, girl, okay.
Dana Brooke.
When she's in competition mode, yeah.
When she decides to show up.
Even Jade Cargill. When you look at her,
oh yeah,
even Jade.
I think she's pretty much the only one in AEW. I might be wrong, and I'm just not thinking of anybody off the top of my head, but she's the only fitness, athletic looking girl on AEW. Right,
yeah. Like that kind of, yeah. I found that. But nonetheless, speaking of the women of wrestling, who's been surprising you? Who's been going down the card? Who's been getting the push? Who are you liking? Who are you not liking?
I'm currently liking it. We're coming up on SummerSlam, and so far there's 4 matches confirmed for the show, which is must be a record at this point under Triple H's new regime. I'm honestly surprised with how Shayna Baszler's push is going. From a random split with her and Ronda Rousey, that if they had the time, they could have built it up longer. But with Shayna Baszler, at this point, she needs something, and as much as a badass heel she could be, I could see her as a badass babyface. And just the fact that she's working with Ronda Rousey, she will be cheered regardless, because everybody can't fucking stand Ronda Rousey at this point. But I can see after SummerSlam that Shayna is a possible challenger for Rhea Ripley, because for the past 2 months, Jay, we've been discussing this. Rhea has no people to work with, and she now has 2 people to work with. 2.
Yeah. I could get Shayna as a face right now. She comes off very well, and plus a lot of people know that she's the common geek girl. She loves anime, she loves video games. I can get that she could get that following, but nah, fuck that. I need badass Shayna, baby. That's what I need. I need that NXT fuck you up Shayna Baszler. That's who I want.
I agree, but it needs to have a spice of babyface.
Yeah.
There's too many heels, too many heel women, and not enough over face females.
Yeah, I know. I could see that.
That's the big issue. They love turning all these women heel, but then when it comes to making a woman over as a babyface, they struggle the fucking hardest with.
And it's not being sexist for me, but there's always that bitchiness with women. That's just what it is. It's just that cattiness.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is.
That was a Russo problem.
Yeah. I also think that on the other side in AEW, there's a lot that needs to be revamped. It looks like they're wash, rinse, repeat on that side. I think Willow Nightingale is a breath of fresh air. I was happy to see that she won the Owen Hart tournament. I think it was a good look, and I think that she could be like a super face over there for them.
She's gotten herself over with the crowd, which I'm very
definitely
happy with.
Yeah.
Her and Sky Blue.
Definitely. Sky Blue is another one. Definitely. The one thing that bothers me about women's wrestling is they cannot
close your ears.
They can't run. They cannot run. There's only a handful of women who know how to take strides in wrestling. It looks very Speedy Gonzalez, like small steps when they're hitting the ropes or running into an opponent into a turnbuckle and such. They really need to educate them on how to take strides. And were
you one of those people that screamed every time Kelly ran the ropes, like, you fucking bitch, you don't know how to do it?
Oh God, it's
stop swimming in water.
And there's a certain amount. There's certain women who are not of tall height, like Rhea Ripley, who doesn't have or Raquel Rodriguez, who can take those strides. Look at Becky. Becky can run the ropes. She knows how to run the ropes. Hell, even old ass Trish knows how to run the ropes. Some of these women,
Mercedes Moné, Naomi, a lot of these professionals.
Bailey knows how to run the ropes. Like, they know what strides to take. It's said that in training, it's said that it's supposed to be 3.5 steps from ring to ring, depending on from rope to rope, depending on what size the ring is. And still that's
a general rule.
Yeah, and that's for a guy. But with women, they shouldn't be too far behind, because even little wrestlers like Adam Cole, he could hit the ropes the same way. So so that's bothersome to me. But speaking of Adam Cole, what's your thoughts about what's going on with he and MJF's partnership?
It's all great until they lower the boom. It's only a matter of time, Jay.
Until they really lower the boom. Yeah. Adam Cole, baby. Who turns on who first? Is it MJF or is it Adam Cole?
Oh, it's always MJF. He's the fucking devil.
I don't know. I think the swerve is gonna be that it's Cole. Cole is gonna turn on MJF because it's already foreseeable that MJF is going to do it. But I think it's going to be one of those stories to where Adam Cole does it, or Roderick Strong is the one that's going to lead that to happen. And I'm afraid for that to happen, because then you're going to give MJF a babyface look, aren't you?
I doubt it, because the whole narrative with MJF this whole year, especially the next next 5-6 months of the year, is that if he has the belt in 2024, he plans on fucking leaving. The whole goal for Tony Khan should be get the belt off this motherfucker so he doesn't threaten to take my belt.
I think it's a conversation for a later date, which is going to be interesting in the next few months. But I have some trepidation, but also I think this is probably going to be one of the most intriguing storylines that's going to come from AEW, which is, will he or won't he? So that's going to be a conversation for a long time coming. Can
I just say this about AEW?
Sure.
That my thing about AEW currently is that right now we're still in the process of figuring out who's going to be on what show, because now they have 3 freaking shows. And I did post on our social media that in a hypothetical way, how long until they switch Collision and Rampage, everybody just jumped down my fucking throat. I was like you don't know what the fuck, you don't know what you're talking about. Warner Brothers made the fucking show. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but how long until they decide to make Friday the second day show and just put the 1 hour show on Saturday? But that's it for another discussion. But I think we've been noticing for the past month now who's on what show now. Like Punk has his show, House of Black on Saturdays, Andrade, Miro, Thunder Rosa, the people that have been gone for over a year, and then everybody else that we've been currently seeing stays on Dynamite. So we have that, and then we have 2 big shows that we still don't have a full card for, which is insane still.
Well, okay, so The Collision thing, I'm not gonna bash it, and I'm not gonna, and I'm not. Many people may say, "Well, Jay, you just hate AEW." I don't. I think Collision is actually a really good show.
Yes,
And
I agree.
And I think that well, for me, what I take from Collision is that there's constant wrestling, which is, I've always been on that mindset of, if you continue to give me constant wrestling, I'm happy. Give me more of that. Give me more match with less time. Show your talent, show your monsters, show your faces, show some kind of characters on the show. I'm all for it. We saw this past week with the 2 out of 3 falls match between FTR and Bullet Club Gold, which was a phenomenal match.
Fucking fantastic.
Wasn't happy about the ending, but that's okay. I could eat a full meal and not have dessert. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that.
What do you mean? Were you didn't like the finish?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of like the double submission kind of look and shit. Like I wasn't a fan of it. But other than that, I thought the match was almost to perfection without that. And I would have been kind of a little bit, let's just say, off-putting when it came to Jay White, because we saw Jay White as such this dominant figure in New Japan, and he comes to AEW, and now it's like, you put him in a fucking tag team? Okay, whatever. But I see it works here, and I'm hoping that faction grows. I'm hoping that it gets a bit bigger, especially now seeing as how that tandem and those 4 guys work with each other so greatly.
Yeah, now that they add the guns to, which is perfect because they need a team. Juice Robinson's the perfect mid card, or like he's the comedy fool of the group,
right?
And you have Jay White, who will be in the main events hopefully. It's just that I think when the whole thing of him when he go to WWE, AEW, and he had a slow start at AEW,
right?
I think just the need for this show has benefited him the most. Not CM Punk or, I think it's helped Jay White the most because it's finally showing people why this guy is that fucking good.
So why did you think that they would possibly change the shows, like switch the days?
Only for my reasoning was if they see the Collision is a good show with great wrestling, why not move it over to Thursday or Friday and see if it could compete against SmackDown and see how it works. And then you have 1 hour of Rampage, which everybody pretty much misses. There's nothing really to see there unless they have something special on like Royal Rampage. That show's only an hour. I mean, and you're still asking your wrestling fans to tune in on Saturday. That's the thing, too. The one day where wrestling fans usually like to stay in or go to the local indies and not watching one of the top 2 promotions in the world right now.
You really think that AEW Collision would have a chance to go head to head against SmackDown?
Not really, but I could see executive saying, "Why not try it and see what happens?" And I'm not saying.
Remember the last time that happened? It was called TNA going up against Raw, and we saw how that occurred. What happened there?
Well, also AEW does have a victory over WWE because remember it was Dynamite against NXT and they won that battle.
Dynamite versus NXT. You really want to go compare that with a bunch of with developmental guys?
I'm just telling you what the diehards would retort to you, sir.
Yeah. We're not. They knew.
Devil's advocates telling you that they already have a victory, sir.
They knew, and you doing that, they basically, and they won't be able to pull that off to this day. They can't do it. We already seen what their ratings are looking at. They're averaging around 850,000 a week, and they're not. That they're done there. So it's and now with Collision, which isn't shabby numbers, but you're thinking about where they're at right now because of the lack of sports that's happening. The only thing you have really going on right now is baseball. So they're bringing in an average of maybe about 570, 575 a week. And how would that shift when all the major sports starts coming back? When college football it's in, when basketball comes back again, it's gonna be problematic. And I think that their biggest hiccup, in my opinion, was starting the show at 8. I thought they should have did the old school shit and went at 6 o'clock. Go to show from 6 to 8 and go along with it. I've been saying for the longest, wrestling fans will follow wrestling. Why didn't they just carry over from the SmackDown audience, which averages about 2.3, 2.4, maybe as high as 2.7 million viewers a week, and transition that to Rampage, and where Rampage is only getting, what, 300,000? 350,000?
There's a giant disparity right there.
Exactly.
I mean, 2 million people are saying, fuck you, I'm not watching.
Exactly.
I'm done for the night.
Right. So I can see where you're saying where Rampage should be put somewhere else. Collision right now is...
I'm not saying they take the Rampage by going to 10 to 12. I'm saying if they want to run from 8 to 10, just I can eventually see them saying, because let's be real here, Collision is their number 2 show now. Yeah, Rampage is their C show.
I don't the Thursday aspect maybe, but they can't do it unless they run it on TBS, which now it'll just be a full TBS. AEW will be on the TBS fully because Thursdays are going to be taken over by the NBA soon. So you're not going to be able to do that, and they're not going to sit there and compete against each other that way. So
and also you'd be asking a little too much from AEW to, God forbid, run Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah. And back to back, God forbid. Let's travel a day extra to a different town.
Please. We were watching, and then plus you still got Ring of Honor that's going on. So they're still They still have a lot on their plate when trying to put together all these shows. You know, I actually defended AEW and ROH the other night because someone tried to say, "Hey, look at the audience that Ring of Honor pulls in. There's hardly anybody here." And I'm like, and I knew somebody that was there. I said, to be fair, each of the recordings of Ring of Honor that they did on the night of the 22nd of July for Collision, they ran the Ring of Honor shows. They did both of them prior and after the Collision show. So, the crowd wasn't going to be there for either one. After fucking 10 o'clock, people are ready to go to fuck home. So they're not going to see the rest of Ring of Honor taping, which is right. You know, you get that. So I had to defend them on that side. I think that the past couple of weeks, even a month and a half or so, AEW's been asking way too much from their fans, be it time-wise and money-wise. They basically killed towns in Canada. They destroyed them. They were having so many tapings up there for their TV events and their pay-per-views and such like that. They were bodying. I would be surprised if they
killed the market in a month.
Exactly. And I would be surprised if they even go back there anytime within the next year, because they basically tore up that territory.
It's over for 2023 for them.
Yeah, I hope.
They've had their fill.
I hope so.
I mean, come on, Jay. Right now we're about to go into August. Guess what town they're going to be filling up? Chicago.
They'll be in Chicago.
And then November they're going to do Chicago too when WWE runs Survivor Series. So that's going to be an interesting week.
Well, I was the first one who laughed, giggled, and probably held my gut respectfully laughing hard for Wembley, for London. But, you know, I had to eat crow and say, you know what, they did a good job with filling what they had to fill. But I have to put the caveat on the but. It's easy to do that for a country who hardly gets any wrestling events that are big. And it's the old Eddie Murphy joke, which is, you give a Ritz cracker to somebody who's starving, they're going to think it's the Thanksgiving dinner. So,
boo, you motherfucker, boo.
But it's true. Listen, it is what it is. They hardly get it. Look what they did for Money in the Bank. Look what they did for just their in-house shows. I'm just talking about in London and look what they did in Wales. Look what they did for fucking Clash at the Castle. They fucking sell it out. And those fans, they can have fucking pit bulls fighting bears and they'll come out and watch it. They wouldn't give a shit. But you know, that's the loyalty. That's the fan base you want. Speaking of that, do you think that there's any possibility that WrestleMania will be in London?
In what year?
We would look as early as maybe 2025.
Maybe. I'll say in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'll say maybe. Maybe to yes.
Yeah, it's still an untapped market. I think they're gauging how.
I mean, logistically, it's proven that it can work.
Yeah,
right?
I think they're gauging what All In is and how that's going to be. But I also said that right now, with all the ticket sales that they already had, whatever the fuck you put on the card, the fans are gonna fucking make it the show anyway. So I think that I'm talking about with AEW. So right. I know everybody was you saw it. Who pushes the needle? Collision wasn't selling until they finally fucking said Punk was gonna return. So you know who's pushing the needle there,
right? Whether you like him or not, he's still a draw.
What's the terminology? He's a polarizing individual. Mm-hmm. Speaking of polarizing, Blood and Guts was this past week, and I'm just holding back from trying to throw up.
I'll just say before you go off, I did like the match.
Oh God,
I did like it, but I wouldn't say it's the best Blood and Guts match they've had so far. I'll put it second. I still like last year's a little bit more. For this year, I would say I didn't have any problems with it. Honestly, I just think that looking at the only sad thing to me was seeing how fucking wrecked Kota Ibushi has gone in the last few years.
Right, you've noticed that he's not even the physique that he had before. Like he's just
like before he was sculpted like a fucking superhero. Yeah, when he came out, he's just like an average fucking guy.
He's like me.
No. Unless you have abs like him, sure.
Had. It's not even there anymore.
But like, I don't know if you noticed these like with the Japanese wrestlers, like their bodies are sculpted to certain like shapes, like they look like real life superheroes.
No, wait, not all of them, but with him and
most of them, like Sonata, Tanahashi, Okada, like they have like these certain physiques that when you see them, like that's what they're supposed to look like. When Kota came out, facially, yes. Body-wise, ooh, what happened to you?
He looked like the transformation almost looked like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball after he lost against the
Had too many pizzas.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, fuck off. Like he didn't.
I think he had like a torn ACL and a bad back, but still, like your body should not be looking that fucked up.
Yeah,
his last thing I looked it up before was WrestleMania weekend. We wrestled Mike Bailey at the GCW shows in Joey Janela. I mean, that was back in fucking April. We're in July right now, sir.
I mean,
and he didn't have any surgery on his fucking on one of his fucking body parts. He decided to work on it on his own, but it looks like he does need surgery.
Yeah,
the amount of bumps he took, I could count on one hand.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't do much, and your debut for AEW was just that because
a whimper.
But it's because that they knew it was a name and that fan base is gonna just be happy that he's there. That's just what it is. He didn't have to do much, and then we saw once the cameras went off and you saw the social media post where he took.
Oh, I knew you would love this when you fucking.
Where he took the bump needlessly on the thumbtacks, and it's like. Yeah,
The best was
go
the fan
home,
reactions.
Ibushi. You drank too much. You're drunk. Go
The
home.
best was the reaction because everybody was cheering, and then once he bumped into the taxi, got up, and it went from whoa,
Why'd you do that? And it's like I
Are you okay?
I'm the whole match was just, it was a mess for me. There
was one spot I got scared of. The bed of nails that was on the fucking corner.
Oh my God.
When Moxie tossed Kenny into them, and then Kenny bumped into it, and then the bed of nails fell and hit Kenny's arm, and then Kenny reacted like, "Oh shit!"
That kind of hurt.
I thought he was
like,
gonna.
that kind of hurt.
I thought like a fucking vein was about to break, or I was about to say, "Oh my God!"
No, the whole thing was a mess. The build up for it was, to me, it
What
was
build?
Exactly. It was lackluster. It was.
I mean, what were we really waiting for? We've seen these guys face off enough, and then like, what do you think of the story of like Pac? I mean,
well, there was a kind of history with Pac, and yeah.
I read somebody from the fact that if Moxley had trusted Eddie Kingston, or if Eddie Kingston was around, Moxley would have been in a better position.
Right.
But Kingston's whole thing is, I don't trust Claudio. Claudio is a piece of shit. And who was the person that started the whole thing of distrust? It was Claudio pushing Pac, right?
Right.
And then the whole Pac's like, you know what, fuck this shit, I'm out. He left, and then you have Callis being like, I know my guy's not getting hurt because of you assholes. He's getting out of here. So that's an interesting take from this match. So this should be over.
Is it?
The
Apparently
Elite versus
it was
DCC is over.
Apparently so, because they gave each other after they went to a fucking war with beating the shit out of each other with forks and bed of nails and chairs.
They shook hands.
They shook hands after. Wow.
Like, I could also see somebody saying like, "Oh, that's them saying like, you know what, we were wrong. You can step up your games, blah blah blah." But that's something you should show on the TV show.
Wouldn't that be another version of the curtain call per se? Except that nobody's leaving. It's just like, hey, I respect you.
I wouldn't say it would be current call because the whole storyline was that the Blackpool Combat Club looked at these guys as entertainers and not actual wrestlers, like on their level.
Please, fuck you. I'm not with that shit. It's
poor, a story,
it's poor storytelling. It's done. They just wanted to have a match for blood and guts, and what really threw a loop into that was the Bryan Danielson injury, and it just,
because Pac wasn't going to be in it. It was supposed to be Danielson,
right? So,
or if Takeshita was not going to be in it, like either way, however they were going to do it.
I love how the fact that they gave bolt cutters to get out of the cage, but everybody else didn't need them.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as a Coda came out, everybody started running out of the cage.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, let's be real here, too. Nobody seriously got hurt in this.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Yeah. I mean, last year Santana fucking tore his ACL, and the whole thing went to all high hell.
Yeah, but still, it's needless. A lot of it is just dumb and silly. What'd you
think of the finish?
Oh,
that Moxley surrendered
because of Wheeler Yuta.
Don't kill my young boy.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Don't kill my young boy.
What would have been the better story is that he had to submit for Wheeler Yuta. Then after that, he beats the shit out of Wheeler Yuta and kicks him out of fucking...
You weak piece of shit.
Exactly. That would have made more sense to me. But
that's going to happen eventually. I don't even know anymore.
Listen, everybody knows who listens to the show. I'm not a big fucking Wheeler Yuta guy. I don't get it. Never saw it. Never. I don't.
Jay, you're not alone. There's a lot of people on Twitter that I see that about. People that go, "This is a fucking average guy I see at my local deli. What's so special about him?"
Ooh, that sounded kind of racist.
That's from people on Twitter, not from me, or whatever Twitter's about to be called now, X.
The only thing that I took from what's been happening as of recent with AEW has been the Jack Perry turn, which I like. Let's make him an asshole. He's already known as an asshole.
He has
Personally,
music now.
yeah, personally, I think that's for now. I think they're gonna give him better music later on. But
eventually they're gonna put his real life girlfriend next to him.
right, which would make more sense because we don't have the Ty Conti, Sammy Guevara thing anymore. So it makes more sense to put her.
Well, hopefully I don't see them doing that nonsense. I hope to see the Hollywood like be like Miz and Maurice-esque type thing.
Right.
Somebody said on Twitter that what was that when Jack Perry came out, 90210's music should have been playing behind him.
Oh, that would have been fucking hilarious. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But the other thing is,
also yearly this belt changes hands.
yearly the belt changes hands. A belt that's not supposed to be recognized. So it's a who gives a fuck.
I don't.
It's the fuck the world belt, but we should call it the who gives a fuck belt. That's what it should be. It's not supposed to be recognized. And you're gonna claim that he's won his first
singles
title
over the TNT International, even the world title,
which is for a belt that
which is also kind of bullshit when this guy's been here since day one. This is his first singles belt.
I tell you one thing, Hook has grown on me. He has. I like the kid.
Yeah.
I really do.
Hopefully now we see more character development from him.
I don't even care if he still is the brooding, angry kind of kid, whatever. I could take it.
But now he has something to fight for. He's like, God damn it, you broke my undefeated streak. You took my dad's belt after you threw it on the fucking ground.
Right. But as for him being someone who's talkative or whatever, when Taz was in ECW, he didn't speak for like 4 years, and I was cool with that. It wasn't until he started cutting promos, he was like, "Oh, okay."
When Taz was calling out Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mike Tyson on a weekly basis, he's like, "Oh, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, yeah, we don't like this.
We don't buy that."
But I could take Hook the way he is. Just he's a young 20-something-year-old guy who just wants to come in and fight, and now he's got some shit to do. I'm good with that, and I hope the rumors.
Can we talk about the best part of the night, the dance off?
Sure.
Where do you want to start? Well, first off, Adam Cole and Sammy Guevara can't dance for shit.
Listen.
I just love it when people say we're tired of the WWE thing, and then they do the WWE thing.
Mike, I was going to say the same fucking thing. That's what I was going to allude to.
I hate your dance contest. Damn it, MJF, bust a move.
And he's probably the better dancer out of everybody that was there.
He was good. And so was Daniel Garcia. I'm growing on Daniel Garcia. He's the serious face of I don't give a fuck and still dancing. But my God, Adam Cole, the definition of geek just needs to be put on his fucking forehead. And then you have Sammy Guevara, who I felt bad for him because I thought he would actually do something. But as far as like this was supposed to be the match that determined who faces FTR.
Right.
And then you do a dance off, and then I like that FTR even acknowledged it in their promo, confronting them, saying like, when you get in the ring with us, we're not fucking dancing, we're kicking your asses.
The best part about it from my aspect was when Guevara and fucking Garcia, they finished their move. Garcia
put his head between his crotch.
The biggest thing I did was move.
Of course you did. Of course you did. I think I heard you from fucking all the way over here in Maspeth.
I had to, but
my head put out the window. I hear a book.
It's once again, we don't do what WWE does. Dance off, everybody. Shut up. And the
Somebody
AEW,
call my mom.
And the AEW fan base will give excuses for it, and I'll go, stop. Don't. We're not doing this right now. Stop.
And the only excuse they say is they don't really do this that much.
Right.
Like, okay. Does that excuse them doing that though?
But I do like if people don't know the subtlety about the double clothesline thing, there is a story about it that was done 35 years ago maybe, with Hogan and Paul Orndorff when they was tagging, and their thing was to do the double clothesline, and they were never able to do it. And then finally, when they
Who would be the Hulk Hogan in this situation? Adam Cole.
Because when they finally did the double clothesline, that's when Orndorff turned on Hogan. So I like that throwback. That goes to show somebody is a historian. Most likely is MJF or somebody in the back. Well,
speaking of MJF, he did his first suicide dive.
Oh yeah.
For a guy that's very critical, and he is true about this, that you don't need to do this shit every match to get a reaction. And he did it, and his face was, holy shit.
Yeah, right. But I think that's the fun part with him. But he's doing all this just to get a babyface reaction. But then once the match was over and he saw Cole holding his belt, he just started freaking out. Why are you looking at that? That's not yours. I'm waiting. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm waiting to hear Cornette's thoughts about it, because it's almost like in The Godfather when Don Corleone sees that Sonny gets killed and he sits there and goes, "Look what you've done to my boy. Look at my boy. Look what you've done to my boy. I don't understand. Why do we have to be this way?"
He really had that moment when MJF and Jericho did that singing thing.
Yeah, he nearly had it there, but this time around it's like, oof.
Gloves are off.
Oof. But
that was pretty much AEW.
I'm just
pretty much Dynamite.
Yeah, my whole thing is just like it's the fan.
Were you fine with that? Just an hour for a whole main event match. I think they gave it time.
Yeah, the blood and guts has to be that way, so it's fine. Right. But like I said, when AEW, if you are what you are, then stop bitching about anything else, because at the end of the day, regardless of what you put it as, your sports entertainment, regardless of how you try to fucking frame it. If you spray gold paint on shit, it doesn't make it gold. It's still shit. I remember what's his name? Alex Kane from MLW. I spoke about it before.
New world champion, by the way.
New world champion, and I'm like, fuck him, because on TikTok he was discussing about the AEW audience, and he was talking about how people don't understand that they have a connection with the diehard wrestling fans. And I'm like, really? Is there such a thing as diehard wrestling fans anymore? I was like, okay. So I had asked him, I questioned him with what would AEW have to do to elevate that audience, because their ratings and their audience is not cracking what their network wants.
They're projected to be.
Yeah, what they want. They lost it substantially from their early year, the audience. So what do they have to do to elevate it? He responds to me, they have their target audience. Their target audience is the indie audience.
I remember you.
What are you talking about? Get the hell off my page and get off questioning. So I go, oh, someone's trying to get a fucking job.
Somebody changed their tune looking at your comment.
I guarantee the furthest he'll ever go is maybe Ring of Honor or maybe a splash of AEW. But dude, cut it out. You're not going to play for the Yankees. Stop it. Enough. Yeah.
Well, there's no more dark elevation, so it's going to be Ring of Honor or nothing for him.
Right. So, the breakthrough was EJ Ndoku going to AEW, and I like him. But
he hasn't debuted yet, has he?
Not yet. No, I haven't seen him yet. But I like him. As a matter of fact,
I'm interested to see what he does. I just hope that the only thing I see him, like, he get a line with Swerve Strickland, another member of the Mongol Embassy, that type of thing. But
right.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but what else do you have on tap?
So you want to talk about Raw and SmackDown for a bit?
Yeah,
from last week.
Yeah, we'll dance around the whole Cody thing. What's happening there? Some may say that they're not happy with how the Cody buildup with Brock is going. I thought last week with the whole destroying him in front of his mom was great. I loved it.
Yeah. I even love the teasing of it too when they kept playing the music on and off. And Cody goes, you know what? I'm not waiting around. I'm going in the back. And a chair stuff is like thrown after the entranceway, and like you said, Brock was F5 and Cody in front of his mom.
Why does Cody walk like that? Why does he walk like he's from the 1930s? Bowery Boys kind of. I'm gonna beat you up.
I have the fucking song stuck in. I have the song in my head. Right? I know what you're talking about. Where he did it at Backlash, right?
Yeah, he did it at Backlash. He's like, I'm gonna beat you up. You see, you better move. It's like, why does he walk like that? But other than that,
that had a lot of. That reminded me of when Brock beat up Zach Gowen in front of his mother.
Right.
Like when Brock's in town, don't bring your mother.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. But they did it at the right spot. They were in the Carolinas around there, so it was a great spot. And Cody always emotes that whole I'm going to cry in a minute. And
my arm hurts.
Look, as much as John Moxley bleeds, Cody cries.
Jesus. Cody pouts and cries.
Exactly. So
we
I'm okay with this.
More Judgment Day. Well, sorry, what did you say?
No, I'm okay with the Cody and Brock build-up. I'm all right with that.
Do you think they're gonna make a Texas bull rope match?
Since they won't give them a dog collar match, I think that's the second best thing. So
right, just the visual of Brock just whipping this fucking guy with a bull rope.
I want to see him break it. Fuck that. I want to see him break that shit.
I mean, last year we saw Brock fucking lift the ring up with a fucking tractor.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to see him break the fucking
if he can somehow lasso the fucking bull rope to the top of the arena and just hang Cody from the top of the building.
Which, by the way, let me go back quickly to AEW. You did see the list of banned things, policies that they have. We pretty much threw that out the window and fucking with Blood and Guts, did we?
Yeah, the timing of the rules, it did not help at all. Like, you should have waited a week afterwards to implement said rules.
Right, yeah.
I can only imagine John Moxley like on his hands and knees praying to God, please let there be blood. Let there be blood. And as soon as the list is over, he goes, I didn't need anything about blood. I'm going to go get my blades ready.
Yeah, I think the caveat with that that's a big word. The caveat with that was that it has to be approved by producers or agents. So,
which we keep learning, everybody's a fucking producer and an agent.
I think what was happening here was that
just ask for permission, because if you don't, you're gonna get a boo boo. You're gonna get slapped on the wrist.
I think what it is that Warner Discovery says, "Hey AEW,
knock it the fuck off."
No. What they said was, "Hey AEW, love the show. It's fantastic. You guys have such energy. You guys bring so much to not only the audience, but to the company. I feel as though the money can be generated. The advertisers will come in. Everything's going to be all good from here." But
and then they pull out a list and it unfolds. It keeps unfolding and going down the fucking.
Can you put street. This as your policies? It's like an episode if you guys are watching the new Animaniacs, they do that, and it's like, it's like, what, we can't do what? But that's the whole show. So
good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Hello, nurse. So, back to Raw. Judgment Day is the takeover now. I like the fact that the balance is that we have Bloodline on SmackDown and Judgment Day on Raw. I'm good with that.
Right.
They needed that, and I think that they are doing it well.
We'll get to Dominic because he had a big week.
Oh, definitely. But just a quick synopsis. What's your thoughts about what's happening right now with Judgment Day and how they are flourishing, not flourishing? What's happening there?
I mean, Judgment Day is having probably the best run since I mean, we're officially 2 years or 1 year of the group running around. I think with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, they're a much better place. Finn Balor. Right now, Finn Balor is an early pick to win the world title at SummerSlam, and then you have Dominic Mysterio, who main evented Raw, NXT, and SmackDown all in 1 week. Very impressive. But aside from that, his fucking highlight was on NXT when he had an interaction with Tony D'Angelo. And Tony D'Angelo he mentions one of the prisoners from the fucking jail. He goes, he said, "I hope you're doing good, Dom." And Dom goes, "Oh, that's nice to hear." I love that guy.
That kid has, I said Hook has grown on me. Dominic has become he's like moss. He's like fungus on me because I fucking love him. I love everything about what they did. The best thing they did was turn him heel. I think it was the greatest thing that they did.
Yeah. The match with Wesley last week honestly wasn't that good, but let's be real. It's the character that's over right now with all of us. His in-work stuff still needs some polishing. Right. But I was thinking about this watching Raw. I was like, Dominic Mysterio is going to have this great run until eventually he runs into fucking Braun Strowman, and then the whole thing is going to go crazy. Because you're gonna have those segments where he's running from this fucking big bastard, and this guy's going to be chasing him, throwing him everywhere. He's going to be running over Rhea Ripley, just trying to get to this kid. It's eventually going to happen.
Is it smart for WWE to now once again? Well, I can't say because they did it years ago, but to start doing the NXT Raw SmackDown crossovers?
I mean, they're only doing it because they're trying to negotiate a new TV deal. So, I mean, that's why we're seeing a lot more Judgment Day on Tuesday, and we're about to to see more.
But it doesn't hurt if NXT goes back to Peacock. It's all right if it did that. It's fine.
I mean, I guess. I mean, the only person I feel bad for is Carmelo Hayes because he keeps losing to Finn Balor with no real redemption arc.
Right.
I mean,
but I think what they're doing,
I'll see why they're doing that for.
But I think the reason why they're doing is to show that he is talented. And that the crowd, the
talented in what, losing?
No. Remember, it's not about. Remember, a lot of professional wrestlers, especially old school guys, say it's better for me to look good on my back than to be on top. Because if I could help to put somebody over, or they're helping to put me over, even though I'm going out on my back, the audience will remember that. Listen, LA Knight, right? Well, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that. So let's just stay on Raw. Other than that, what is
the tag title match? This is the match where apparently they had a miscommunication and they're all screaming at each other in the back, right? That was that match,
right? Which later on it was told that not only it was miscommunication, but the match was being changed as
they're walking out.
So I could see that because of time restraints or something like that. I get that. Vince. So,
if there was a media scrum after the match, Dominic Mysterio would be eating fucking cupcakes talking about his empty-headed dumb fucks.
But even so, with that, it says that it said that Owens is nursing a legitimate injury, so this is why we're keeping him off, and how it's happened, and what's going on.
Yeah, Raw seems to be getting hit with the injury bug with Rollins revealed with Logan Paul's show Impulsive that he's dealing with injuries that he doesn't want to take time off for.
Right.
Liv is taking time off to do a movie. Kevin Owens, they say he's hurt, but they said they're keeping him on for storyline purposes, right, which is kind of sucky for him and Sami Zayn now because they were building up such momentum. That also seems why they don't have an obvious program for SummerSlam. But with Raw, they're kind of in a dangerous spot here with three of their big stars injured at the moment.
Yeah, but it's the nature of the beast, and this is where the smart time right now is to start building up their stars or right, their talent to get them some kind of rub so that the audience could get behind them.
Right.
right now.
Bray Wyatt is eventually coming back, as reported that he might be feuding with Cody. But if Rollins is to lose the belt to Balor, Cody would be the obvious choice.
Which I see happening. I do see.
Right, but if Bray comes back, that kind of squashes it.
No. I see Balor winning at SummerSlam, right. And I see a bigger story rather than Cody. Cody has mentioned that he appreciates what Seth is doing, but the story is not with that belt. The story is with what Roman has. That's the belt. So right. It's a way of finagling him to get to that belt.
Yeah, eventually.
Other than that, Raw is just it's been better. I like to say the show has been getting better. They're giving me a little bit more wrestling. It's just now we got to get the talent that's there, give them more of a fan friendly rub. Let's get more wrestlers that the fans will enjoy and get them on the show, and let's get a backing for them.
Yeah. And then as far as like the other two major programs that are running for SummerSlam, Drew and Gunther, I'm looking forward to that match.
Yes, definitely.
Becky and Trish. Listen, as far as I like Trish, I love Trish. She's been one of my favorites since I was a kid. But it's time to move on. I mean, this has to be. She wants
one more match, and one match that she wants to be in a cage match. She wants a Hell in a Cell. She wants something like that. And you know what? Give it to her. Let's do it. She still has not only a fan base, but she also has the heat that goes on. And I think that her heat is rubbing off with Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark is a solid wrestler. And
they're about to break up.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that she just stays healthy and she can be I would think that I will put her in the same kind of realm of, let's say, like a Bailey or I wouldn't go as far to say Sasha, but I would say maybe like a Bailey, maybe if we could get her promos up. So but she's a work. She's a solid work.
That's pretty much just for Raw, and then we go into SmackDown. And let's just get into it. LA Knight.
Look at here, dummy. You know I
did they bury me? Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I'm having a headache.
Well, while I fix myself a drink, I want to hear your thoughts on. Are they doing him right? What's happening with him? And even what, the Kevin Nashes of the podcasting world who don't get it, who do get it, whatever.
Let me ask you a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Let me ask you a rhetorical question. What is the deemed right?
I
mean, you gonna make you drink. I was just gonna say this, that like over like a year ago, this dude wasn't even LA Knight. He was fucking Max Dupree. From that point on, he has done so much better as he would have been a 40-year-old fucking manager for male models.
Well, think about how much faith Triple H has in him, where he pulled him away from that, gave him his name back, let him rock the gimmick that he was, and give credit to him as well, because he sat there and said, "Look, whatever job you want me to do, I'm going to do it. Whatever. I just wanted to be here." And he's here. And now, big credit to the fucking universe, the fan base, who's not going to sit there and tolerate the WWE's bullshit with him, that they are going to continue to back him. So, you were a guy who was a big fan of LA Knight, a.k.a. Eli Drake, early on in Impact, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I thought when it came to Impact, he was one of the most amusing characters. When they brought him out there, when he came out there, he always had a presence of himself.
Right.
Always had his catchphrases ready at the fucking helm. Seemed like a guy that knew what the hell what he wanted to be in Impact. When he went to NWA, same thing, and then here in WWE. One thing I always hear about him is that he always has a big mouth, and it's not just like him on screen; it's him behind the scenes.
Right.
But I always look at that as a double-edged sword. Like, it could be a bad thing, but also be a good thing. Where, like, yeah, like, sometimes it's better to listen and like just be quiet. But also, if you know it's shit, just call it out.
I think
that's what he. That's where he usually.
Are we going with the WWE 2K23 My Rise gimmick? Is that what we go with?
The fucking Lock has been having trouble this year.
So, your thoughts about what they're doing with him now, and are they? As a wrestling fans, I fucking hate wrestling marks who never know what the fuck the terminology is. Are they burying LA Knight?
Yeah, it's very hard to say burying when the guy is consistently on TV, his merch is selling off the fucking shelves, and they're still advertising this guy. Just because he's in a dark segment on an MSG show is not a bad thing. When you have 2 hours of programming and you can't fit this guy on a TV show, that's not the fucking end of the world for him. So what they did was they put him in this fatal 4-way match to determine the number one contender for Austin Theory's U.S. title. He's the only one out of the 4 that was able to cut a promo, and he said, I'm going to go to SummerSlam, make my claim for the U.S. title, and at the end of the day, he lost. It's very hard to say this, but is it a bad thing that he lost? Not really. He didn't eat the pin, or from him losing this does not mean he's bad. This guy is still over this guy is more over than pretty much anybody on the current roster, just from the minute his music hits, the minute he starts talking on the microphone. This guy is over like over like Rover. and this is not even from people singing his song like Seth Rollins. Just as soon as his music hits, like the building just goes insane.
My thought is,
but is he buried? No,
he's not buried. It's the build-up, and I'm okay with the build-up. And like I mentioned before, right, if you look well, you do well, and you're on your back doing it. Okay, Scott Hall has always said that I put more miles with the traction that I had with my boots being planted down on the floor than it was with me on top of somebody. And I made more miles and more money doing that. With him, it's the build, the stacking of the character, the gimmick, the fan base. It's right, insane to believe that a guy who just recently had been lambasted for possibly being a Stone Cold Rock ripoff, which, by the way, nobody gives shit to Ricky Starks because, woof, you want to talk about Rock ripoff? Yikes. But I like. But
also, it's not a bad thing to get from the greats.
I'm not mad at it, but and I love Ricky Starks.
And they're not the only fucking people that do it. There's everybody else is a fucking culprit of stealing somebody else's
shit. I did a whole fucking cutting a promo about it recently, and I'm okay with it. That happens, but he went from that to being like the number 4 selling merch in WWE. And have you seen his merch? It's not anything that's like eye-popping to me. Like, I wouldn't sit there and go, I got to get me an LA Knight shirt. But that's
Jay, I just saw before we recorded this that the top 5 like merch selling stuff, 4 out of 5 of them are his shit.
Right.
LA Knight black logo shirt, LA Knight white logo shirt, black logo, like white logo, like all like 4 of the fucking shit. There's just his t-shirt and logo. And then the number 1 is Cody Rhodes' shirt.
So, what does that tell you as a viewer of wrestling and you know, being on the show, your media? What does that tell you about how important and how strong the fan base is?
Yeah.
It's a telling thing. I think that for the most part, his time will come. I think that he's going to be a solid mid-card guy. I see him getting that U.S. title. I see that. But will it diminish him once he gets it? I don't think so.
Compared to fucking Austin Theory currently, it'd be much better.
Right.
Because Austin Theory is going out every week saying, I beat John Cena. Okay, good for you, but where have you been?
Theory is going to have a illustrious career in wrestling. The kid has...
Oh, yeah, he has a brighter future.
He has miles. Future. He has miles going for him from here on out. I think with...
Just that right now with LA Knight, it's either now or never.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Because Theory's still in his 20s, LA Knight's like 40, 41, 42.
Right.
And then with the reports of saying, oh, he's going to get a push after SummerSlam. My question is, so the idea is to push him, right? What is the plan?
I think
do you have him feud with Theory? Is he going to be Roman's next challenger?
I wouldn't be surprised if at SummerSlam.
What would be the push?
Okay, I'll give you this. I wouldn't be surprised that at SummerSlam, Theory has a match with whomever, and he beats him. Maybe at record time or whatever. And Theory, then they do the whole. You know what? I'm such in a good mood right now since I beat this lame. I want another match right now. So let's get somebody out here who wants to wrestle me because I'm ready to beat somebody right now. Who else has the nerve to come out here and go up against Austin Theory, the greatest U.S. title holder ever? LA Knight's music hits and the crowd loses their shit.
Yes.
He cuts a quick promo.
Yeah.
Beats him with a quick fucking move. He wins the U.S. title. That's it.
And the move better not be that fucking LA Knight elbow. It has to be something quick. Has to be something quick and efficient.
It has to be something like that. Your thoughts about the Brawling Brutes? There are some that's saying that they maybe have worn out their welcome. The funniest thing I got
into an argument with Rondo over fucking Ridge Holland.
The funniest thing that happened with all this is that M2 Inc. hits me up and he goes, when you watch SmackDown, watch how bad Shawn Michaels struggled to not call Pete not to call
he wanted to call Pete. He's like Butch.
Pete Dunne. He was fighting to call him Pete Dunne, but he had to remember his name is Butch. Have they run their course? Because I don't think so. I actually think that there's a lot more you can do with them.
As a group or
as a faction, yeah, as a faction.
I mean, because I was trying to tell Rondo this because if we look at the Brawling Brutes and how they've been going about for the past year, Sheamus has been fucking putting banger after banger after banger, and that was always Gunther. And that was a great run for him, and he's still doing great work. You have Butch with Pete Dunne, who's doing hell of performances. I mean, the Money in the Bank performance, his performance at War Games, he's been fucking killing it when they put him in different scenarios. And then you get over to Ridge Holland, who you have to fucking wince and fucking close your eyes every time he's in the ring because God forbid he's fucking hurting someone. And I'm not saying he's like reckless or anything, but unfortunately, this dude is hurting people. He just hurt one of the fucking Pretty Deadly dudes, and they were getting a push, and now that's on hold. So I think management always wants to hold back on them because when they give them something bad happens or something stupid happens, and then they have to be like, okay, let's go backwards. Let's wait. Let's hold on this for a second.
I would have, you know what I would have done with them? You know how Teddy Long would always announce that you're in a match with The Undertaker, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I would have taken the Brawling Brutes as the hitmen and done the same shit. And like anytime they someone was being unruly or not they would have to be in a match against one of those guys because they're badasses that would beat your fucking ass. That they're come out. And that's why they are the Brawling Brutes. Anybody who was in Butch's, I hate fucking saying that name. anytime they were in Butch's weight class, send him out there and let him beat the shit out of somebody. Rich Holland, have somebody, send him out to have him beat the shit out of somebody. And then Sheamus will go out there and try to beat the shit out of main card fucking guys.
Right.
But that's
I mean, it comes to Butch too. So we always get these random reports, different like every couple months, being like, "Oh, they're gonna give him his name back. He's gonna go back to his old persona." We've been waiting for a fucking year and a half now. And when is he eventually gonna pull the damn trigger on it?
Fuck, have him go down to motherfucking to NXT and beat the shit out of somebody. Come on, let's get
stay on SmackDown.
No,
stay
but I'm
on
saying
this fucking TV show.
No, but I'm saying like if they're doing a synergy, have them go down there and beat the shit out of somebody and have it come. Do something.
By the way, Jay, Brad Swift, LOL. They had the fucking Raw Superstar defend the North American title against a SmackDown Superstar on a SmackDown show. Brad split my ass. Why was Dominic and Rhea even? Never mind.
Oh, please.
But the SmackDown, I think, mostly was just an average show until the ending segment with the contract signing.
Well,
Roman Reigns and Jey Uso.
Well, I mean, we already know that the main title is already isolated. That there's nothing, no one, or anything that's going to dethrone that until this storyline is complete. Unless we see what happens after SummerSlam.
Right.
I guess that's the target for that.
But this seems it's gonna end at SummerSlam. The whole Roman Reigns versus Usos stuff.
Right. I think that this is the most compelling storyline in fucking wrestling right now. I'm telling you, it stretches a little bit too long at times, but the theater and the way that the crowd takes it is outstanding. I to be honest with you, I don't remember it being this compelling since, I'm going to say, Hulkamania. Like, I can honestly say that.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember a storyline being this long and being this captivating since that. Like, there is a true soap opera going on that is keeping the audience to come back, and there are people who are taking sides. I really believe that this has been like a 30+ year storyline in the making that needs attention from wrestling.
I have to look into this. There has to be something else. There has to be other stories that have been long as this one.
The only one that went that long, and unless you were a follower of it, was Tommy Dreamer's storyline in ECW.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, that's really...
Is that him trying to get a win over Raven, or him trying to get the belt?
Both, actually, both.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Oh, I thought those. I guess I'm thinking of two different things.
Yeah, both actually.
But yeah. Do you think? Did you understand what they were trying to get across on with the segment? When they're talking about tribal warfare, and then Roman, I looked at Jay. It was like, who gave you permission to request that? And then Jay was like, who do you think? Like, and then Roman's face like, oh shit.
Yeah, like, it was that.
I understood it as like, your father fucking said to do this.
Right, his father or the elder statesman, because this is what as the story would say it, is how you settle it. And when
who will be the champion, who will be the tribal chief,
right? And Roman, when he held off Solo from getting involved, and it's like, no, this is how we handle business. And I thought that was, like I said, this is all fucking Heyman. This is all Heyman. This guy is, and I could kiss his ass and lather his ass to the fucking cows come home. I don't give a fuck how people would say me. I'm a Heyman guy. I would have loved to have him be my father. I don't give a shit. But this is all Heyman.
You better hope for good Christmases with all those checks.
No, not Christmas, because remember, he's Jewish, so it'd be
Hanukkah. Yeah.
It'd be Hanukkah. So,
apologies.
He is the architect of all this, and for it to be something in which the story tells of being more of a tribal, communal, a cultural war that's going to happen at SummerSlam brings in the audience to get a better understanding of how interfamily rivals or conflicts occurs with different cultures and such. I look at it more of a deeper way, but it's also great fucking storytelling. You know, everybody wonders, why the fuck is Roman wearing that red beaded flowery shit around their neck? We're not knowing what the real significance is of it. And once they put that into play, as well as the belt, makes a lot of sense to a lot of viewers now.
Yeah.
But
also a small minor detail, but they really need to distinguish what the hell this belt is called, because they still call it the undisputed WWE Universal. Like it's still combining both names of the belts. Like eventually, you're gonna have to just either call it the WWE title.
I love that Paul still carries around all the belts, because it reminds me of UFC, where everybody's wearing all the belts, or like in boxing where everybody has all their belts on them. It makes you look prestigious.
Because you would imagine whoever is the one to beat Roman, the visual would be him holding the person that beats Roman would hold all three of these fucking things over his head.
Right. So I'm okay with that. It's just that if you're looking for it to be on 2K, it's never going to happen because it'll fucking glitch. But other than that,
I mean, is the wait going to be until WrestleMania in Philly? Is that when all this, when the Roman Reigns run ends?
I'm looking forward to one or two things. One, I could go with one or two things. We finally get the match that we want, the fan base wants to see, which is Rock versus Roman, to signify who is the true tribal chief.
That could be a non-title though.
And yeah, I was about to say, doesn't have to be a title match. Does not need to be a title match. There's no need for that. I'm not a fan of him holding the belt anything longer than after WrestleMania, because then Hogan was different because he was a face, and you threw a lot of heel wrestlers at him, and he had to defeat all of them. It wasn't until you finally got the face-to-face that we all as fans wanted, was to see Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan at WrestleMania 6, which was the biggest face-off, when we go to find out that Warrior was actually a dick and shouldn't have gotten that. But at this point right now, with Roman supposedly being the heel, you've already thrown so many faces at him. Like, who else other than Cody after this would we say will be worthy of winning that title? And now, like you said, supposedly brand split, how would that work?
Yeah, because also, if it is going to be Cody, do we have to get Cody winning the Rumble again? Like do we have to do rinse and repeat? Because off the top of my head, there's 5 people Roman have not faced, and these would be one-offs, unfortunately, for them. 5 is Karrion Kross. He's at the bottom of it because he's fucking drowning. 4 would be LA Knight only because he's over as hell. Mm-hmm. Then you have Sheamus. Then you have AJ Styles, who could definitely pull a great match out of Roman Reigns. And then number 1 option right now is with him currently recruiting people for a new stable with Bobby Lashley.
I'm loving this. I'm loving that shit.
Because also Bobby Lashley is the only person that has a pinfall win over Roman Reigns.
Right.
And you can play off that story. I mean, also Baron Corbin pinned him too, but nobody gives a fuck about Corbin.
Yeah, but I'm loving the whole Bobby shit before I let you go. The Bobby shit, it's so subtle.
He's making an army.
Yeah, but they're all black. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Nation of domination.
Yeah. Cool. This is what I was looking for the longest time. I don't know why the fuck they disbanded the Hurt Locker, whatever fucking
The Hurt Locker.
the Hurt business. It's like, I don't know why we disbanded that, but okay. But
And also remember with the fucking brand split now, MVP and Omos are free agents, so they could be on this fucking show whenever the fuck they want.
Well, exactly. So, other than that, once again, I know you got to work tonight, right?
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Big developments at my job. If you haven't been watching the news.
Yeah, I know you guys are in contract negotiations, man.
Yeah, and they got accepted.
So they did pass.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I me being a former UPS employee, I always knew that this was the time of season that it occurred. I just forget how many years is. I don't remember if it's every 3 years or every 5 years. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
And we were very close to going on strike. The last time they were on strike was 1997. So
yeah, that was before I got in. I got in at 2000. So it was like, yeah. As a matter of fact, yeah.
It's a good thing they fixed it. They settled all this before next week. Is if nobody's been watching the news regarding UPS, shit would have hit the fan with a lot of deliveries, a lot of businesses.
Well, congratulations, you guys get your money. I hope I have to look at what's the full, because I'm a shop steward myself for my my union. So I always like to observe other people's unions, but I have to look at what you guys got. And congratulations, and get that money, kid.
Most definitely.
And once again, where can everybody follow us and follow you, because you are a proprietor for our social media? So where we can follow you and find you at?
So before they rebranded to fucking X or whatever the hell they're gonna call it, it's Twitter, and then on the social media is at Instagram at Turnbuckle Tab, and if you want to follow me, it's M_Sarantino530.
And on Instagram, we're at
Turnbuckle Tab, like I said.
So once again, my brother, love you much as always.
Love you too.
And I can't say keep up the good fight, because you guys got your contract. So thanks again for your time and checking in, bro.
No problem, man.
All right. Laters.
Later.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Turnbuckle Tabloid.